How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we are looking at probably the last replay of the Darkwing Blast format. Before we begin, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you are new as always, and let's kick this off. If you want 5% off any single or sealed product, head over to tier0games.com and use code GALZO5 at checkout. So this is actually one of the games where I prepared for the sneak peek event that by the time you're watching this probably already happened. Check my Twitter for updates if you want. The link is in the description as always. And probably one of the most, this is a pretty high rated dude. And thankfully he played tier limit Ishizu, which is exactly what I was wanting to play against for the sneak peek. The sneak peek, specifically for me, I'm not planning to face full-on, Photon Hypernova decks. It's going to be like in between. We don't do this in the draft format. We do this constructed in my locals. So by the time you're watching this, again, maybe I did face some Photon Hypernova decks, but I'm not 100% counting on it. I just want to see how my deck performs in this current sort of like end of Darkwing Blast format, but there's still a lot of things to be learned about this. I win the die roll, thankfully, and I was playing all day just to make sure that I run into some tier players and high rated ones at that, hopefully to get more runs and practice with the deck to see where it's lacking. So again, tier Ishizu, I go first, which is really good. Start off with the Aluber, get hit with Havness. Feeling good because I have 2 Bestials in hand, which is very fortunate. Just hoping that he doesn't have a way to resolve the Rhino or doesn't want to, and he actually only goes for the Havness here. So I start with the Druis, and this happens a few times throughout this game where I have a Magnamut and another Bestial, but I don't immediately go for the Magnamut just to prevent a situation where I start with the Magnamut, they have their own Bestial, and then I have to summon the Druid. So I sort of like prepare for the fact that they have their own Bestial, especially if they're playing tier Ishizu Darkwing Blast format, and to make sure that my Magnamut will be the last one and that I will get the bonus off of that, but he doesn't actually have a Bestial. So I go Branded Fusion, the regular line, dumping the Lubellion and the Albaz. Now I banish these 2 for Lubellion, discard the Branded Red because there's not going to be a way for me to resolve that, so it's useless, and these are obviously a lot better. Go for the MJ, Lubellion, get the Beast, and Phase, set the Retribution here. So in this build specifically, and you'll see it probably throughout the week, maybe on Twitter, depending how the sneak peek goes, but in this deck, I play the 1 red, I play the Banishment in the side, and this card, setting it with Albion, has just been really proving its worth. This card can just do a lot of damage to tier. It negates an effect that special summons a monster. So most of all of the tier cards from the graveyard, obviously, Kitkalos as well, and Kelbeck, stuff like that, Dark, you name it. There's obviously a lot of effects that special summon, Bestials as well. And once you hit a Mirror Jade once, like you activate it once, you have 2 fusions in the grave that you can shuffle, or you can just shuffle the Mirror Jade itself, which is really worth it. So at the end of the day, we're left with a pop and possibly 2 pops if we do this right on like a card that we actually want to pop because it's tier, and a negate, a Magnamut, and another potential negate. So and they're kind of down on cards in the hand. They need to hit something, and they do hit the Terraforming even though they have this. Obviously this is for the droplet, but yeah. They activate the Heartbeat to bounce back the Beast, which is very good because the minute the Pearl Rhino hits the field, it gets hit with a Beast. This is every time, like, this is the absolutely most correct thing to do. So they shuffle it back. They will also send the Agido from the Heartbeat. Negating these 2, I'm not 100% sure why they had to negate the Druid's Worm, but they chained this anyway, so they just, went for it, I suppose. So now they're left with 1 card in hand, and they don't know I have a Bestial, but they do know that I have the Retribution here, and I already have these 2. So they do know that I can negate a summon, so I decide to, they search for that, and which is very unfortunate for them. then I decide to just straight up negate the Agito here because it's just too much advantage, and with 2 cards in hand, I'm pretty sure that I can play this out, and they scoop up. So, game number 2. This has a few misplays on my part that I really want to articulate, and this is why I do these types of videos. I don't do them to say, oh my god, I'm the best branded player, because one, I don't think of myself as the best branded player. I think that this channel and this entire experience and these replays that we do help me learn about the deck as much as it does you guys watching it. So, you know, these replays aren't perfect, but they are the games that I play, and these mistakes actually make me a better player, and hopefully you too. So again, this is more to show the misplays, because the good uninterrupted boards are like, okay, fine, like everybody can do that. Everybody can build a great board with just like a simple combo. So they open, obviously every hand in this deck is pretty cracked, even though they, I mean, yeah, Sheeran and Agito is really strong. I do open the Super Poly, the Evenly, and the Serenir, and I'm sure that there has been a way that I could have done it better and prevent the pretty crazy end board that they ended up on. So Sheeran pitch Sheeran to guarantee the fusion, and they also mail a Havness, a Scream, and a Crime, which is just like every card in this deck hits. But seeing the Crime in the graveyard, I was very, very pleased with that. So I decided to, specifically because the Crime was in the graveyard, I decided not to Bestial here. They decided to go only, I think it's only Sheeran here. Yeah, only Havness. So let's say that I Bestial here. They probably still end on like a lot of stuff because they can mill with the Agito and they have a Bestial, and you know, they summon the Medora, they mill for this. So it wouldn't have been that effective. So I elect to wait and keep it because I have only one. And let's see how this plays out. So they search the Sulik, they get the Kitkalos, they get the Merly, they go for the Mill 8. So Mill 8, we see them playing Called By. They hit 2 Shufflers, a Rhino, a Havness, which they already used, and a Sheeran. So pretty good mill. Chain link, probably like 2 chains right in this mill. So they go just the Merly. They said Sheeran, but just the Merly. And they go for this, just like, you know, play around Nibiru if people are playing that, play around Bestials, that plays around them really, really well. And then they go for the Mill 5. So I think that my main misplay here was actually, I should have banished the Kitkalos with the Serenir, because Rule Kalos hurts the deck really, really hard. This is a very hard card for Branded to deal with. So I think the correct play here, which I didn't end up doing, was go for the Kitkalos with the Serenir. If you only have one, I think that the rule of thumb is go for the Kit. Just prevent the Rule Kalos. So they go Mill 5. I hit nothing. They hit the Havness. I think it was it was a Sheeran maybe. Let's see what happened here. So they already activated Havness and Merly. So I'm not sure. I can't replay it back, but I'm sure it wasn't like a misplay. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what exactly happened here. I don't think it necessarily matters, but let me know if you can go back and see what actually happened. But you know, we let this play out, like honest mistakes like this. Even if this was a mistake, just fine to play it out for the practice, because you want to go up against the best boards you can possibly go against. So here the Diviner gets dropped, and now I'm pretty thankful that I can use the Serenir even though they already have the Rule Kalos. So this just show you how much you want to prevent this Rule Kalos, because it does much more than just negate Branded Fusion. So here they try to summon it back with the Elf. I decide to go for the Serenir now because I know that they just go for like another mill and Brawl on the Floor, which is pretty destructive. And they also draw, they also get the Tearlance Heartbeat, which comes in very clutch, because you remember this Crime in the graveyard, it's going to come back to the hand and they're going to set it, and I'm going to go up against a really, really crazy board. So Serenir gets destroyed. I send the Retribution. I have a red and an opening to bring back if I need to, even though they have Shufflers. So It's probably not going to happen against Tier. They get the Crime. I decide to bait a Shuffler, even though they have like so much. I gotta start like, you know, creating some advantage here. I might have, it might have been smarter to keep it for their turn, just to block out one Shuffler for the turn. There's no real value in using it on my turn at all. So again, I think that was sort of like a misplay here on my part. Go for the Baron, set 2, get the Druids. So, you know, 1 negate, 2 negate, 3 negate, 4 negate, and a Bestial, and this that just generates like a bounce or something, and an Elf, and I draw a Druid's Worm for turn, which is pretty solid. Unfortunately, Rule Kalos is a water, but yeah. So evenly doesn't go here. Obviously, there's no way you resolve evenly here. Super Poly is actually a little bit better here, because you have 3 cards that you can eat up for a Mirror Jade that don't have graveyard effects. This one does, but it's not relevant. So, and I know I'm going up against these 2 as well. It's sort of like a losing situation anyway, and I don't like Super Poly against Tier unless I have like the perfect, mega perfect hand with Lost. So what I decide to do here is to get rid of the Baron as early as possible and go from there, basically. So I decide to set the Albaz, and they don't have any response for it. So it's either I go for Elf is probably the lowest value here, the lowest value target. It doesn't really do that much because they already have a Tier. They have the Beatrice, which is really good because they can, you know, start milling or send a Tier from deck. Very good. An Omni Negate and another Negate that can hit my Branded Fusion in hand. So you probably go for these 3, but you probably don't want to go for the Rule Kalos because it just comes back. That's the unfortunate part about this card. It just comes straight back. So, you know, the best option for me here was actually take down the Baron, which I do. I go for the MJ, and I go straight into battle phase. I want to start baiting out as many interactions as possible because I know that this is the only thing I have. I have a Bestial and a Branded Fusion that is probably getting negated. So I don't have a lot of plays. I go for the Elf. They go for the Beatrice, the Havness. I, you know, Druid's Worm it. Just so they can resolve this. And then they destroy my Druid's Worm. I activate the Mirror Jade because otherwise, you know, it just bounces back. And send the Albion to make sure that I have some sort of follow-up. Branded Fusion, Crime hits, and yeah, that's all she wrote from there. It's not very surprising. So here, this is a very good hand. First off, this is a very, very good hand. This is questionable. Moving forward, this is definitely questionable. I think that I just noticed that I'm wearing my headphones, but like half on, so forgive me if I look a little bit stupid throughout the video. I think that this is it's obviously very good. The reason why it's good is that it makes Tier like run circles in order to get rid of it. It's not hard because they only need the Shuffler and the Field Spell, which they have plenty of, right? But you might go into like weird lines. So sending it from deck with Branded Fusion against Tier is subpar. It's really good against Flute, obviously, but against Tier it's a bit rough. But this combo, like discarding the Banshee for the opening, is really good. And another thing here that I want to note is that I could have obviously went to main phase and just activated the opening there. But I suspected that they will have some sort of interaction during the main phase. And if they have Havness here, my talents don't work, but I counted on them having several interactions. If I go main phase and activate Branded Opening, it's an immediate tell that I have talent. And it might have been a misplay as well. Might have been smarter, even though like they know you have the talent. So, okay, they know. Basically, they know. I mean, so what? You will activate it, it will resolve. It's a very powerful card. But I decided to go for the draw phase here. I go for the Owlbear's chain 1, they chain the Havness, I chain the Banshee. and the zombie world hits the field, and they hit a name. So here, I don't even want them to start fusioning, and I don't want them to have any names in graveyard because I already know I'm going to search another bestial here. So I'm feeling pretty confident. They're already down to 4 cards in the hand. I have the talents, which I can hopefully resolve, and I have my full line of play here. So I'm feeling relatively comfortable here. So I go for the Serenir, and this is going to be the funny part. So I go for the Lubellion. Now you'll see in chat, I'm asking anything on res, because usually, you know, this is where they will activate a bestial or a shuffler, right? To get rid of the Lubellion, so I don't actually get to summon it, get a lot of advantage, blah, blah, blah. However, I cannot summon the Lubellion legally, because it requires tributing a dark dragon monster. So even though this guy is really high rated, obviously knows my cards, everything, knows how to play his own deck, knows how to play my deck, but he doesn't notice this clause. And this is why I stop and ask res anything, which is a valid strategy to wait and see if your opponent has anything and to put some emphasis on it. So maybe they actually do something. So here I know that I'm probably getting hit by a shuffler or a bestial, which I don't know about in the hand, but I've seen them play bestial, so I can assume they have a reasonable count in their deck. And then I know my talent is going to be live. And it's exactly what happens. This was just like a full bait because I couldn't summon the Lubellion. If they don't do anything here, I just searched for a bestial, which is absolutely fine. So, honking outside the window, kids screaming in the street. I will continue. So, now gets hit with the Druid's Worm, which is absolutely fine for me. Talents. Talents, talents, talents. So here, I watched the replay in preparation for this video, and I think that I should have looked at the hand. 3 cards in hand. If I rip the Terraforming here, it might have been a little bit better. I have a friend that always says, if you activate talents to draw, you already lost. It's not true in this case, but it's you know, it's kind of true in a lot of other cases. But I elect to draw because I don't think that I'm going to get much value off of like getting rid of a card out of their hand, and they're going to draw another one on their turn, and it's pretty much going to be the same as it was. They're going to have like 1 card extra. So I decided to draw to see if I can further extend and go for my, you know, going second cards. And I draw Tragedy and Magnamut, which is not bad because I will be able to summon the Magnamut, then search for another bestial, and during their turn, I'm going to have 2 instead of 1, which is better. So, Brand Fusion. And here I know that I'm dealing with a shuffler, but I also know that I have a bestial Magnamut in hand, so I can try to manipulate the graveyard in order to get my Lubellion to resolve, because I didn't want to go for the Albaz here, for the Albion, you know, the light target Albion. And it gives me no value because 1, sending the Lubellion to the graveyard would have done pretty much nothing because I couldn't summon it because of Zombie World. And 2, if I get hit with the Shuffler and I banish it with the Magnamut, anyway, I lose the ability to use the Albaz. It's going to be lost. So the best play here is to go for a Lubellion, discarding this, which can also give me follow-up. And in case they shuffle it back, Magnamut it to secure the fusion. So this is what I do. I go for the Serenir because I have the Tragedy in hand. So I wanted to try to send something good that I can set with Tragedy because I'm not going to activate the effect. Lubellion effect, cost Tragedy, and then chain to Serenir. They do activate the Shuffler, targeting all of my monsters. So here it's a pretty easy play. Magnamut, get rid of the Albaz, and then I can just shuffle everything back to get an MJ. Magnamut effect. Another line I could have gone into was actually going for, instead of Serenir, go for the, what's his name? Mercurier, but then I would have had to use my Magnamut and the Mercurier, and that wouldn't have been better. So I think that was the best line. That was honestly the best line under Shuffler. Gets me to a Mirror Jade, which is all I need. I send the Retribution here. And because I don't have the tragedy anymore, so I just want to get some follow-up. I want to get rid of the Druids because, you know, there's no way I'm leaving it on their field. And now I also have the Albion for follow-up. And I go for the banishment because unfortunately nothing here does anything. I already have this in the graveyard, which could have been good to maybe save it and, you know, send something else, set this instead to get an extra negate. But I'm feeling pretty good because I have the Retribution for follow-up. I have a Zombie World. I have a lot of bodies on field, so I'm probably not getting OTK'd with a Mirror Jade. And in case something does go to the graveyard, I do have the banishment and 2 Bestials in hand. So I'm feeling fine. So Retribution for follow-up. Grab this. And they draw a Droplet, which is very, very unfortunate for them because nothing on my field is actually, you know, doing something right now. They go for the Terra. Planet, Sheeran, pitch this, the Rhino, and again, they don't mill anything of value, unfortunately. So they go for the Rhino. I have 2 Bestials, so I'm feeling really good. Get the Sulliak, send the Havness, and the reason I don't do anything here right now is because I only have like one misplay that I made was summoning the Mirror Jade to a main monster zone because I have 2 Bestials in hand and I can't use them both, which is very, very unfortunate. It's a really, really big mistake on my part. So I know their first fusion is just going to be Garura because that's the only thing that I can make. And they're just going to use it to pop the Zombie World and then I can hopefully play. But then, you know, I know one card in their hand does nothing, and I can keep playing from there. So shuffle this back, pop it, use this to draw a card. I don't have any targets, so you know I'm fine with them going sprint. I don't really care. They draw Kelbeck, which is also a bad draw. They normal it, go for the sprint, activate the sprint. Merly, I have to hit it with a Bestial right now. And again, I go for Jerusalem first. Because of the shuffler. So if they decide to shuffle, then I can go Magnum and get the additional effect. But this is also pretty threatening on board anyway. So they set the Sulliak and they go for the Dweller and they just go for the Zeus line. They go battle phase, they activate it. So I don't get like, there's a lot of effects here. Serenir is a graveyard effect, Druids, Mirror Jade, all of them, which is pretty crucial. They go for this. And they go Zeus, nuke the board with 1 card in hand, and they do have a Sulliak to search, which is obviously why they set it first. And I try to activate the effects. I forgot about Dweller, and they set the Droplet and they pass. So I know Havness, and I know of 1 Shuffler. I have 2 Bestials and a Brand Fusion, which is probably the best situation I can ask for at this point. So Graveyard doesn't do anything at the moment, but I keep going. So Brand Fusion is the play here, just to start and bait out as much as possible. Once you have like these two, it feels so much safer just to play against here. Brand Fusion, I go for you know, the normal line. Just I'm just playing branded here. I don't know what this is. I suspected that this won't be a tier card. Just because I saw the Sulliak being set, and they probably have like 1 more, maybe crime, because they went second, so maybe they don't even have the crime. So I'm thinking it could be a droplet, it could be something like an imperm. I think that makes the most sense. And I decide to activate Albion because the value of activating it, if I don't activate it, there's no way for me to clear the Zeus. So I decided to activate it because I have 2 Bestials in hand. And I know that I can deal with the Havness. I mean, mill 3, I can probably deal with it unless they hit like a Miller, which is really bad. But, you know, 2 is fine. Havness, Chain Droplet to negate the Albion. And unfortunately, they hit nothing. So this is probably like seals the game here. They do decide to shuffle back the Lubellion here because they don't want me to, you know, tribute the Albion. Battle phase attack. And of course, they top deck the field spell. But again, I have 2 Bestials, so I'm not worried. Rhino, Sheeran, Bestial. Again, I go for the Druids first because they already have a Shuffler in the grave. Already said that so many times. They just pass. So here I continue, and this is really good here. I decide just to, like, not play at all. They're in top deck mode. I'm feeling pretty secure. They're probably not going to pop, like they might pop my druids, but they're definitely not going to pop the Albion because they don't want me getting effects off of it. And I have the opening to protect it and a negate in hand, which is a really, really good top deck. I just attack for more damage. They shuffle back just to make sure they draw something good. And they draw Magnamut. They activate it. I let it go. And I decide that I'm going to actually negate the effect on field. So why did I do that? And negating the effect in hand just means they bestial you next turn and you can't kill them. So just preventing that means that they have to clear their own board, or I can clear it for them, basically. And they don't get to search, so they are left with 0 cards in hand. So they do just that. We kind of replayed it because he didn't understand what I meant. And basically, once that happens and I have the Magnamut, I can just banish the Mercurial, search for the Cartesia, and then just fusion off and keep going and win. So I hope this was interesting for you. I really enjoyed this match. This will probably be the last match of the Darkwing Blast format, which was so much fun to share with you guys. But hey, at the end of this week, we actually have a new format, which is even better for Branded, better for our our pet deck, which is really, really cool. So if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe, and consider joining as a member if you want to support me making content even further. You can follow on Twitter to see how the sneak peek goes, so you can head over there right now to check it out. And of course, if you do consider picking up some Photon Hypernova boxes or singles on pre-sale, or actually now it's probably going to be like pretty close to the end of pre-sale, but it's probably going to be a restock. Head over to tier0games.com, use code GALZO5 at checkout to support me and get 5% off the order. So thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.